Angela Rayner's recent television appearances have not just raised eyebrows, they've set alarm bells ringing. In the space of a few confused minutes, she managed to contradict herself, dodge critical questions, and expose a glaring lack of command over the very issues she claims to fight for. A moment that was meant to project confidence and competence instead revealed uncertainty, evasion, and, most worryingly, a lack of vision. Let's start with her now infamous housing remarks. When asked directly whether we are in a housing crisis, Rayner said yes. But in the very next breath, she insisted there's plenty of housing available. It was a statement so contradictory, so tone-deaf, that viewers were left stunned. How can both be true? How can there be a crisis, and yet, no shortage? The confusion didn't end there. When pressed on whether 5 out of 7 new homes are being allocated to migrants, Rayner stumbled. She dodged. She changed the subject. She refused to acknowledge the public concern, or even clarify Labour's policy. It felt less like leadership, and more like a panicked press officer in a suit. This wasn't just a poor performance. It was a warning sign. Millions of British families are struggling, many stuck in temporary accommodation, trapped in endless waiting lists, or forced to watch new homes rise in their towns, only to be told, "Not for you." The idea that migrants could be prioritized while British citizens are sidelined is a conversation the public desperately wants to have. But when the question was asked, Angela Rayner chose to evade rather than explain. She claimed Labour would build 1.5 million homes. But when asked where those homes would go, or who they would be for, her answers were vague and inconsistent. One minute, she says there's plenty of housing. The next, she says we're in crisis. One minute, she talks about the supply of homes. The next, she pivots to workers' rights and pay, completely unrelated to the question at hand. And when asked the simplest of all questions, should house prices come down, Rayner wouldn't give a straight answer. She mumbled something about affordability, about supply and demand, but never once committed to saying what millions are thinking, that yes, house prices must come down, because housing in Britain is no longer affordable for the people who actually live here. Instead of answers, we got talking points. Instead of clarity, we got confusion. And instead of leadership, we got spin. Let's pause for a moment. Ask yourself this: if Angela Rayner can't give a clear answer on housing, an issue that affects every working family in Britain, then what exactly is she bringing to the table? This isn't just about one interview. This is about a pattern. A pattern of indecisiveness, of scripted responses, of missed opportunities to speak with clarity and conviction. And it didn't end with housing. Let's talk about Syria. On the very same broadcast, Rayner was asked about the collapse of the Assad regime, a critical moment in global affairs, with deep consequences for Europe, the UK, and the Middle East. Her answer? We don't know. The question, would a rebel group with ties to Al-Qaeda be a better alternative? Her response? We're working with partners. We want stability. Platitudes, buzzwords, empty phrases. This wasn't just weak, it was dangerous. Angela Rayner is not a backbencher. She is Deputy Prime Minister of the United Kingdom, the second most powerful political figure in the country. Yet she could not offer a clear stance on whether a terror-linked group should take over from Assad. This isn't a niche foreign policy discussion. This is about Britain's role in global security. This is about whether we support groups tied to terrorists. And her answer? No answer, just more buzzwords. Stability, civilians, UN resolutions, but the truth is, if you can't take a position on terrorism, you don't belong in a leadership position. This kind of weak, evasive performance isn't just embarrassing. It's dangerous. It undermines public confidence, it weakens Britain's stance abroad, and it shows our adversaries that we are being led by people who simply don't know what they're doing. Meanwhile, Reform UK continues to surge. David Buckley MP took to national television to expose what he called a deliberate deception: over 50,000 failed asylum seekers still living in taxpayer-funded hotels, with tens of thousands more waiting in limbo. He warned that the actual number may exceed 200,000, people whose claims have either been rejected or are still unprocessed, but who continue to enjoy accommodation, meals, healthcare, and more, all paid for by you. And Labour? Silent. No plan. No urgency. Angela Rayner insists there's no crisis, and yet the evidence is everywhere. Working class communities overrun with immigration they didn't vote for. Families who can't get council homes in their own hometowns. Rising taxes, rising rents, and falling trust. And then there's the image that really hit home. Rayner in the studio, staring down at her prepared notes, while struggling to respond to simple, direct questions. That image has stuck. It's become a symbol, not just of a single media failure, but of a broader crisis in leadership. People aren't just disillusioned with Angela Rayner. They are disillusioned with politics itself. They're tired of evasion. Tired of slogans. Tired of watching their own concerns dismissed as inconvenient. Ricky Gervais said it best. On a separate show, he laughed when asked about Labour's response to immigration and housing. Not because it's funny, but because the absurdity speaks for itself. He pointed out what millions are feeling, that our leaders live in a bubble. That they say one thing, and do another. That they play by a different set of rules. During lockdowns, they partied. During crises, they hid behind advisors. And when asked about real issues, they crumble. Angela Rayner's collapse on national television may not cost her job today. But it's cost her something far more important, the public's confidence. Leadership isn't about perfect answers. It's about conviction.